Good.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all would take your seats, we're about ready to begin.
Good afternoon. Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a regular meeting on May 16, 2023 at 5 p.m. in the City Commission chambers located on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall Old Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street. Members of the public who submitted a public comment form will be permitted to offer public comments as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting. A recording of the meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. Mayor Pro Tem, it is 5:03. You may call the meeting to order.
This meeting is now called to order.
Next item is invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's all stand for the prayer, and please remain standing afterwards for the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you so much for this nation that we're blessed to be a part of, where we have a voice in our government. And Lord God, today we specifically thank you for our newly elected officials. We ask for special wisdom and anointing on our new mayor, John Cowan, on our new city commissioner, Brian Martinez, on our new city commissioner, Linda Macias. And Lord, we ask you to lead and guide them in everything, all their decisions that they make here concerning the city. Lead and guide each one of them, bless and protect them and their families. Lord, and for this meeting here today, we ask you to lead our Mayor Pro Tem, those that are speaking and swearing in. We ask you to have your will in every heart. And Lord, for all of us, we ask you to destroy our deceptions and release your revelation to each one of us so we can make the best choices clearly for the city of Brownsville. We ask all of these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Now we'll have a short moment of silence where each person can add their prayers to what has already been spoken. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one faith under God, one and indivisible.
Next item, we have proclamations. First proclamation, we have welcoming Avelo Airlines to Brownsville.
Is there anyone here from Avelo to receive this proclamation?
Yes, we have Courtney Goff.
All right, this is a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, welcoming Avelo Airlines to the city of Brownsville. Whereas Avelo Airlines, a Houston-based company led by world-class executives, is committed to providing convenient, affordable, and reliable air travel, has chosen to expand their operations to Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport. And whereas the integration of Avelo Airlines into Brownsville represents a significant development in the local aviation industry, enhancing accessibility to our city and promoting economic growth. And whereas Avelo Airlines will commence its direct flights from Brownsville to Hollywood Burbank Airport and Brownsville to the Orlando International Airport on May 17th, 2023, thus opening new avenues for tourism and business connections. And whereas Avelo Airlines' commitment to low fare and high quality air travel ensures that these opportunities for connections and growth are accessible to a broad demographic of travelers. And whereas the addition of Avelo Airlines to our airport will enhance the quality of life for residents, provide greater travel options, and contribute to the economic vitality of our community. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, and on behalf of all of our citizens, do hereby welcome Avelo Airlines to the City of Brownsville and hereby commend Avelo Airlines for their dedication to the aviation industry, their commitment to affordable and convenient travel, and their significant contribution to the local economy and community of Brownsville. Done on this, the 16th day of May 2023, signed the mayor and the City Commission.
Hi, thank you guys so much. We're so excited to be here. I flew in yesterday and such a convenient airport, aligns with all of the standards that Avelo sets for itself in all the new cities that we offer. So we're incredibly excited. We've got the Orlando flight coming in the morning and the LA via Hollywood Burbank in the afternoon, and bookings are looking really great and really strong moving forward. And just a reminder to everyone that flights are on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and we'll kick it off tomorrow with a big hoopla celebration, welcoming in some of our pilots that fought over the flight to be on the first one to come here. So we're really excited about that. So thank you all so much for all of your help and support. And we're ready to say hello to Avelo. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if I just add, we invite the community to join us tomorrow at our airport at 10:15 sharp, please. We're gonna have wonderful festivities as we welcome our flight in from Orlando, and then a departure to Los Angeles. Thank you.
Next proclamation, we have National Bike Month.
Is there someone here to receive it? Great. It's the proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, designating the month of May 2023 as National Bike Month in the city of Brownsville. Whereas the bicycle is an economical, healthy, convenient, and environmentally sound form of transportation and an excellent tool for recreation and enjoyment of Brownsville's scenic beauty. And whereas throughout the month of May, the residents of Brownsville and its visitors will experience the joys of bicycling through educational programs, races, community events, charity events, or by simply getting out and going for a ride. And whereas creating a bicycle-friendly community has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, quality of life, and grow the economy of Brownsville, attracting tourism dollars, improving traffic safety, supporting student learning outcomes, and reducing pollution, congestion, and wear and tear on our streets and roads. And whereas Bike Texas Rio Grande Valley Metropolitan Planning Organization, the League of American Bicyclists, school parks and recreation departments, police departments, public health districts, hospitals, companies, and civic groups will be promoting bicycling during the month of May 2023. And whereas these groups are also promoting greater public awareness of bicycle operation and safety education in an effort to reduce collisions, injuries, and fatalities, and improve health and safety for everyone on the road. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, and on behalf of all of our residents, encourage all residents to join us in supporting an important national campaign throughout the month of May 2023. By coming together, we can increase public awareness and make strides towards achieving our goals. Let's work together to enhance our efforts and make a meaningful impact. Join us in making a difference, show your support, and take a ride. Done this 16th day of May, 2023.
Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, really quickly, we want to highlight National Bike Month, but also invite you for the Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Campaign that will be kicking off May 31st at Linear Park at 5 p.m. And so please join us in collaboration with Brownsville Police Department. We'll do a 100-day campaign to show the public the awareness of what it is to ride the bike safely, what it is to cross at certain intersections safely. And so please join us on May 31st at 5 p.m. Thank you.
I would say that 100 days also includes child safety. So car safety, vehicular, pedestrian, and bike safety. Thank you.
And I would add that this program is very important. May is National Bike Month across the country, and we are the only bicycle-friendly designated city south of San Antonio and have been for many years. Bicycle safety programs like this are part of our designation, and we can see that by fewer injuries, fatalities in our city compared to many others. It is also very well known that bicycle-friendly communities have higher tourism dollars and lower public health risks, as well as higher economic prosperity. So thank you for your staff and your work.
Thank you.
Next item is post-election business ceremony. Item number 1, consideration and action on resolution number 2023-053, canvassing and declaring the results of the general municipal election held on May 6, 2023, for the purpose of electing 4 members of the City Commission: Mayor, Commissioner at Large District A, Commissioner District 1, and Commissioner District 2. Mayor Pro Tem De Los Santos and City Commission, it is both my honor and ministerial duty to present and certify the results of the May 6, 2023 general election for the purpose of electing 4 individuals to the office of Mayor and Commissioner at Large District A, Commissioner District 1, and Commissioner District 2. 2 candidates will head off in a runoff election to be held on June 17, 2023 for Commissioner at Large District A. Upon adoption of resolution number 2023-053, canvassing and declaring the results of the election, we will swear in the remaining members who received the majority of the votes on May the 6th. Can we have a motion?
I'll entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-53, canvassing and declaring the results.
Motion.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor Pro Tem, at this time, the city would like to acknowledge the service of our outgoing members and a token of gift. May we have a motion to suspend the rules?
I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. If we could have Commissioner Tetrew, outgoing Commissioner for District 2, please step up to the table, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to be here. I want to thank you all for your support over these last 12 years. The city of Brownsville is my heart and my home. The first people that I want to thank for being along with me every step of the journey is my husband, Art, my children, Andrew, Abigail, and Austin. Thank you. I love you so much. As a matter of fact, come up here with me. Come on, come on, come on. I need you. My parents are also here, my mom and dad. I'm very grateful to have them both. I also have my grandmother, she's 95, watching at home at TV. When the wind brought me here 12 years ago, I was a very, very young girl with a lot of dreams and belief in the city of Brownsville. And I'm very proud of those accomplishments that I've achieved over the last 12 years with the commission. Love you guys. And I'm very proud. Here comes my Austin. I'm very proud of what I've achieved. I'm very grateful that I had a family standing alongside me throughout it all. I'm very fortunate to have worked with amazing city staff. Thank you all for your support and for believing in me. And with that, I want to leave you with 2 things. One, always believe in yourself, even if you know the odds are never in your favor. I think Luke Skywalker once said, "Don't tell me the odds." Believe in yourself, believe in Brownsville. There are incredible things happening here that are manifesting every day. Fight for them, believe in them. It is worth it. And the second thing I'm going to tell you is, yes, I did run for mayor and I didn't make it, but I'm very proud that I did. I believe that every little girl in this city should fight for her dreams and never stop believing in yourself. And with that being said, don't come up to me and tell me I'm sorry, because guess what? Now my fairy tale ends and I get to live very happily ever after. So thank you for your support. Thank you for believing in me, and I love you. Thank you.
And Commissioner Galansky and Mayor Mendez are not with us in person today. They're both with us in spirit, and we'll ensure that they receive the token from the city to thank them for their years of service as well. Please, a round of applause for Mayor Mendez and for Commissioner Galansky. And if staff will remove the nameplates for the outgoing commissioners? Excellent.
Mayor Pro Tem, at this time, we will call each candidate up to receive their certificate of election, execute their officer statement, and take their oath of office. May we have a motion to suspend the rules?
I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We have a motion and a second. Let's see, Mayor John Cowan, Mayor-elect John Cowan, if you'll please approach the podium for your swearing in.
Here's the certificate of election.
Before we begin, let me just say it's an honor to be here. Very fond memories of the old courtroom. To all present and past elected officials, thank you for your service. To all our military, to all our law enforcement and emergency personnel, thank you for your service. And to all my fellow citizens, thank you for your interest in our city and our support of this wonderful city. This is a certificate of election for John. Do you want me to read it? All right, the certificate of election says as follows: in the name and by the authority of the city of Brownsville, Texas, this is to certify that at the general municipal election held on May 6, 2023, John Cowan Jr. was duly elected mayor. In testimony whereof, I have here to sign my name and cause the seal of the city of Brownsville to be affixed this 16th day of May, 2023 by Mayor Trey Mendez. Congratulations, John. All right, and this is the oath of office. John, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
John Cowan,
Do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of mayor
do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of office of mayor of the city of Brownsville
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
All right, we also have a statement that the mayor is going to make. So I, John Cowan Jr.,
I, John Cowan Jr.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote, the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God.
do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God.
We invite the mayor to say a few words.
Good evening, distinguished guests, family, friends, and fellow citizens of our beautiful city. Today, I stand before you humbled and honored to assume the position of mayor of the city of Brownsville. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all of you for your unwavering support and trust in me. Especially, I would like to thank my wife, Robin, and my children, Grace, Jack, and William, for their love, patience, and understanding. My parents, John and Margaret, who instilled the values that drove my candidacy and which will drive me going forward. I know my dad's smiling from heaven. My uncles, Paul, Ralph, Philip, and Tad for their support and guidance. And most of all, I want to thank the citizens of Brownsville. I promise that I will not let you down. During my campaign, I felt there was a constant message that reverberated from the community. We all see the enormous potential before us. As an elected official, and now even more as mayor, I not only inherit the day-to-day issues of our city, but also the hopes and dreams of our community. And that is something that I don't take lightly. My term in office will focus on continuing to increase economic opportunities for our residents and local businesses, fostering a transparent and ethical culture, and helping Brownsville become a more sustainable and innovative city to create a higher quality of life for everyone. I commit to work with all of our city commissioners, community leaders, and government officials to ensure that our city is safe, prosperous, and a place where everyone has an equal opportunity for success. To Mayor Mendez, I want to personally thank you for your service and setting the bar high for me. I have seen you firsthand deal with the pressure and commitment of this office with exuberance and professionalism. To Commissioner Galansky, I thank you for your friendship and for always being an advocate for your district. And to Commissioner Tetro, I also thank you for your long service to our community and for all that you have done for your district. I enjoyed working with all of you. To the new commissioners taking their oath today, I look forward to working with you. While we always won't agree on everything, I assure you that I will always listen, treat you with the utmost respect, and work towards a solution. As we move forward, I assure you that I will serve this beautiful city with honesty, integrity, and commitment. I will work tirelessly towards making it the best possible place to live, work, and raise a family. In closing, I'm grateful to the citizens of Brownsville for giving me this opportunity to serve you as mayor, especially at this transformative time in our history. Thank you, and may God continue to bless the city of Brownsville.
Next, we have Brian L. Martinez. Commissioner? I would like to present Mr. Brian L. Martinez with the certificate of election. Okay, this is the certificate of election in the name and by the authority of the city of Brownsville, Texas. This is to certify that at the general municipal election held on May 6, 2023, Brian L. Martinez was duly elected Commissioner District 1, in testimony whereof I have hereunto signed my name and caused the seal of the city of Brownsville to be affixed this 16th day of May 2023, signed by Mayor Trey Mendez. I would like to introduce the honorable judge that will be administrating the oath of office, the Honorable Judge Adela Kowalski Garza from the 484th District Court of Cameron County.
Nora Martinez, if you'll come on up to hold the Bible for your son.
In the name and by the authority of the state state of Texas, I, Brian L. Martinez, do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
faithfully execute the duties of the office
of City Commissioner of District 1, City of Brownsville,
of City Commissioner, District 1 of City of Brownsville,
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and the laws of the United States
the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Just a couple of words. Brian decided to hold the Bible as a tradition that was begun by our first president of the United States, George Washington. He began the precedent of holding a Bible at his inauguration. And he also started the tradition of kissing the Bible at the end of giving the oath. And he also, of course, started the tradition of saying, "So help me God." And that is why Brian brought this Bible that belonged to his grandmother. There is also a verse that was open at the time that his grandmother passed away. And Brian would like for me to read that verse. It is in Spanish. El Señor es mi pastor, nada me falta. En verdes praderas me hace descansar. A las aguas tranquilas me conduce, me da nuevas fuerzas y me lleva por caminos rectos, haciendo honor a su nombre. Amen. In English, that is translated, I'm not going to translate the whole thing, but that the Lord will lead him in righteous path for the sake of his name. Amen. Now the statement. I, Brian L. Martinez,
I, Brian L. Martinez,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I have not directly or indirectly paid,
that I have not directly or indirectly paid,
offered, promised to pay,
offered, promised to pay,
contributed, or promised to contribute any money
contributed or promised to contribute any money
or thing of value,
or thing of value,
or promised any public office or employment
or promised any public office or employment
for the giving or withholding of a vote
for the giving or withholding of a vote
at the election at which I was elected,
at the election at which I was elected,
or as a reward to secure my appointment
or as a reward to secure my appointment
or confirmation,
or confirmation,
whichever the case may be.
whichever the case may be.
So help me God.
So help me God. Good evening. I stand here before you, humbled and honored to be given this opportunity by God. I am proud to be the youngest elected official, elected commissioner in District 1, and I take that with great pride. I stand here today with my mom, and just like you heard earlier today, in spirit with my grandmother. These two individuals raised me to be the person I am today. And I ran a campaign based on leading this city with the new generation. Because having grown in La Posada and Southmost, having been one of the very first incorporated areas, I've seen what this city has gone through, and I know that we deserve better. And just like they say, just like Michael Jackson said, if you want to change the world, take a look at yourself first. And I stand by that every day. And I hope that this inspires other young people to get involved, to make a difference in their community, because it is possible. Todo se puede en esta vida. Todo con Dios se puede. Y hoy orgullosamente estoy aquí adelante de ti pidiéndote las gracias por la confianza de ser su siguiente comisionado electo para el Distrito 1. Vamos a seguir adelante. Rejoice with me, Brownsville. It's a new day in Brownsville. Thank you.
Now we have Ms. Linda C. Macias. I will be providing the certificate of election to Ms. Macias. Okay, the certificate of election in the name and by the authority of the City of Brownsville, Texas. This is to certify that at the general municipal election held on May 6, 2023, Linda C. Macias was duly elected Commissioner District 2, in testimony whereof I have hereunto signed my name and caused the seal of the City of Brownsville to be affixed this 16th day of May 2023, signed by Trey Mendez, our mayor. I would also like to introduce the Honorable Judge Janet L. Leal from the 103rd District Court of Cameron County. She'll be administering the oath of office.
Okay, Linda did not get here by herself. So family, come on up. Come on. You're a big part of this. Get up here with her. It took a lot of people, a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot of sweat and tears to get Linda elected. And those are the people that she needs standing with her as she takes the oath and makes the promise to the people of Brownsville to work hard for them, because she's already started working hard for them. When I met Linda, she was so enthusiastic about running for office. She had already started on her campaign to make Brownsville a better place long before she decided to run for office. She was already doing volunteer work. She was already involved in the community. She was already out there trying to help people and to make Brownsville a better place. It was just logical for her to run for city commissioner at that point because she was already working for us. So it's really an honor for me to be here today, swearing her in and making it her official title as city commissioner because she has been working unofficially for the people of Brownsville for a long time. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and take the opportunity to swear her in. I need that. And you can hold it for her. It's a family thing. Raise your right hand. In the name and the authority of the state of Texas, now I want you to repeat after me. I, Linda C. Macias,
I, Linda C. Macias,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of City Commissioner of District 2 of the City of Brownsville,
of the office of City Commissioner of District 2 in the city of Brownsville,
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and of this state, so help me God.
and of this state, so help me God.
I'm going to sign.
Yeah, the statement of office.
Okay, now we're going to do the statement of officer. Again, raise your right hand. I, Linda C. Macias,
I, Linda C. Macias,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I have not directly or indirectly
that I have not directly or indirectly
paid, offered, promised to pay,
paid, offer, or promised to pay,
contributed, or promised to contribute
contributed, or promised to contribute
any money or thing of value,
any money or thing of value,
or promised any public office
or promised any public office
or employment
or employment
for the giving or withholding of a vote
for the giving or withholding of a vote
at the election at which I was elected,
at the election of which I was elected,
or as a reward
or as a reward
to secure my appointment or confirmation,
to secure my appointment or confirmation,
whichever the case may be.
whichever the case may be.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, Linda is just taken the oath of office to become a public servant here in Brownsville, Texas. And the great thing about Linda is that she's doing it for all the right reasons. She's not doing it because she wants to help a few. She's doing it because she wants to help many. And Linda has taken this as a calling to come out and work for the people of Brownsville. And it's refreshing to see young blood getting out here, raising up her sleeves and getting ready to go to work for us. So again, it's my honor to be here for you, Linda. Thank you so much for taking on this awesome responsibility and for serving the people of Brownsville. So good luck. Thank you.
This is Maddie. Say hi, Maddie.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. I would like to thank God for his grace and his strength and for placing the right people in my life that led to this moment. Starting off with my husband, Dr. Hiram Lozano, my biggest supporter, just an incredible man that I'm truly blessed. He is my better half. My children, Madeline, who wants to speak so badly into the microphone. Madeline and Robin for their unconditional love. And every time my daughter Madeline would see a sign, she would yell, "Vote for my mommy." And that was the enthusiasm and the energy that kept me going despite anything. Thank you to AJ Leal, who was there from the start. Thank you to my family, friends, and everybody who supported. Whether you shared a social media post, you texted someone, you called someone, everything mattered in this small grassroots campaign. This campaign was ran on positivity, on love, and on progress. I did not step on and take this challenge for a political position to feel empowered. I took it to serve the public. To the residents in District 2, thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity to serve. The biggest way that I can give you thank you is by demonstrating the hard work that I am committed to doing. With that being said, thank you so much to everybody. Sí se puede y sí se pudo. Mommy.
Good afternoon. This concludes the swearing-in ceremony. Mayor Cowan, may we recess for 15 minutes?
Yes, I'll be open to a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Recess for 15 minutes.
We invite everybody to enjoy the goodies outside and just to take pictures and take in the moment. Thank you. Actually, Gabby already had her motion. Works, Gabby. Yeah. How are you? I'm at work. Yes. One, two, three.
There you go.
Aw.
1, 2, 3.
I love it. Oh, okay. So he's gonna do our stuff. So far, so good. Well, so far, the business is the only thing. Yes. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, which one? The Kira or? Which one? Oh, okay, okay. Oh. Love it. Huh.
Mayor, we need a motion to reconvene the meeting, please.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Item number 2, under post-election business ceremony, public hearing in action on first reading on ordinance number 2023-1718, canvassing and declaring the results of the special election held on May 6, 2023 on the questions of adopting 6 amendments to its home rule charter. We need
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone here to speak to that effect?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
All right, we have a motion and a
Second.
second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
And I'll move to approve the ordinance.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Item number 3, consideration and action on resolution number 2023-063, calling a runoff election for June 17, 2023 in the office of the City Commissioner at Large A.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next item is public comment. We did receive 10 public comment forms, although only 1 wishes to speak, and the rest of the 9 wish to just record their comments.
Sure.
The first one would be Ms. Yolanda Spies.
Sure. Good evening. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Yolanda Spies, congratulations on your elected positions. Now that you're in these positions, you have to serve the people you represent. You, Mayor Cowan, are the king in town. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? As the great Stan Lee said, with great power comes great responsibility. So when a constituent comes to you asking for your help, you have to help, especially because now you're getting paid. You can't tell them to just find a good attorney and sue the city because it's inappropriate to tell you about it and ask you for help, even though you serve us. On top of that, you need to realize that when you tell people to sue the city, you're putting a heavy burden that is yours on them, on the taxpayer. Plus, what if they do find a good attorney and they fight and win? Who has to pay for that? The taxpayer. Not you or any of the commissioners and none of the city attorney, city manager, or anyone in the city government. That's not okay, and I think they need to know about that. You're poisonous to Brownsville. And if they
Excuse me,
were
Ms.
to
Spies.
speak, I
Excuse
could
me,
get
Ms.
you
Spies.
out of office before
I'm sorry,
you do any
counsel.
damage, trust me.
These comments being directed at one member of the commissioner in violation of the public comment rules. Public comment needs to be something to address the commission as a whole, not targeting one member.
No amount of proclamations, donations, or money you take to destroy our city is going to change that. We got to get rid of the poison. The Brownsville PD is corrupt, and you all can fix it.
Next item, we have work session. Work session on signs and billboards.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners. For our new commissioners, congratulations. My name is Martin Vega. I'm with the Planning and Zoning Department. Today we
Can't hear you.
Today we will be presenting the work session item for our sign ordinance. I will begin by providing a brief history on this item. So it was originally presented to City Commission on December 6th of last year. At that time, City Commission did request additional flexibilities to provide an equal opportunity for maximum sign exposure. Also to provide additional provision to expand the permissibility of, I'm sorry, this is the incorrect presentation.
Sorry, we're updating that presentation. Just give us a minute, please.
Sure. Right. Yes. Apologies. So as I was mentioning, this item was originally presented to the commission on December 6th of last year. At that time, there were some additional requests for flexibilities on the particular provisions that were being presented due to the existing regulations limiting entry to the billboard advertising market. Also, the commission requested equal opportunity for maximum sign exposure, especially for businesses that are on the frontage of the expressway. So today we bring a new set of provisions and also seeking guidance and input from the commission. The purpose of this new ordinance is to establish a new framework for permissibility, taking into account road type, which we will go through in the following slides. If you have any questions, please pause me. Taking the first road type into consideration would be a local street, which is your typical 50-foot right-of-way cross-section in a residential subdivision. An example being Rustic Manor Drive. And then we go on to a collector, which is 80-foot right-of-way. This would be Stagecoach Trail. And as you can see, as the thoroughfare increases in right-of-way, also the type of business and the type of uses on the land increase as well as the zoning. Here we show Morrison Road, the secondary arterial, which is 120 feet right away. Again, the density in business increases along the thoroughfare. Then we have Ruben Torres, a primary arterial, 150 foot right away. And you can see a more variety of pole and pylon signs as well as billboards. And finally, we have the interstate, which is 350 foot right away. Additionally, we're looking to apply the zoning district to determine the permissibility of signs. So going from the least restrictive to the most intensive, we go from residential all the way to industrial. The sign type, again, it correlates as the road type increases and as the zoning increases, so does the signage. So we have poles and pylon signs, monument signs for single tenants, monument signs for multi-tenants, and we have billboards. To summarize what I've just explained, staff created this diagram basically showing the direct proportionality between one element to the other. So as zoning increases, typically the traffic intensifies as well as the thoroughfare.
Additionally, the land use intensifies. So as you go from a local street to a collector to an arterial, the type of uses go from residential to commercial. Therefore, the required sign exposure increases. And for that reason is why the intensity of sign type increases as well. So this new framework will identify the sign type guidelines to determine where these signs are appropriate. So first of all, we will look into the context of location. And here we prepared some slides to show you an example. So this is the intersection of Highway 77 and Morrison Road. And the area is primarily commercial business. We have the highway, the secondary arterial, and we will have the points, the colored points show up to pinpoint the different signs that are in this area. So we have the McDonald's pylon sign, AT&T pylon sign. We have a multi-tenant sign for the Target Plaza. On the purple point, on this aerial, you can't see it, but you will see it on the street view. There's a billboard sign for the bank. And then finally, another multi-tenant sign for Target. So this is the same view, just from the street perspective. And as you can see in this aerial, the zoning in the area is regional center, which is what allows your big box retail. And in conjunction with the thoroughfare types and the surrounding business is the reason why these types of signs exist in this area. This is a short video that we prepared. All right. So the additional guidelines will be elevation, determining the height of the sign face area, the permitted illumination, always keeping in mind any restrictions placed by TxDOT, especially on state maintained roads and highways, and the permitted number of signs on a property. And so this is just an example of a property that has 10 signs on its frontage, something that we want to avoid. So the sign types we will be discussing, again, will be billboards, monument signs for single tenants, multi-tenant monument signs, and pole and pylon signs. So the current provisions for a billboard are that these are only permitted if 3 billboards are removed. And the new billboard must not exceed the average area of the 3 removed billboards. Finally, the City Commission must review and approve relocation petitions. These provisions resulted from an agreement between the City of Brownsville and Lamar Sign Company, which was signed on November 21st of 2008. And the signing of this agreement resulted in the drafting of an ordinance that created the provisions I just mentioned. It was adopted to reflect the current regulations, and the implementation began at the start of 2009. So the possible changes that we're looking at is to reintroduce the permit for new or additional billboards, regulations for new digital billboards, and to revise regulations to prevent sign pollution. And just to give an example, this is something that we really do want to avoid.
As you can see, the billboards here, it's the distance between one and the other that makes it cluttered. And so when the planning department was looking at that, they're looking at distances where you can still have a billboard, but there is some sort of reasonable distance where we avoid clutter and then you can't see any signs.
And just to give a little bit of perspective, the bottom right-hand corner, that picture that says Energy Keeps California, you can see a pylon or a billboard sign to the rear. It's about 200 feet away. So these new billboard regulations will establish the height, area, number per lot, spacing between signs, and the context of the location, as was mentioned, considering the thoroughfare type and the intensity. Also, to provide additional context, not all not all billboard signs are the same. Some are off-premise, what we have in the city. So to the left, you can see the example that's by the mall. That's an off-premise sign because it advertises for off-premise business. And then we have the on-premise billboard, which we try to avoid because, as in this example shows, Lone Star Bank already has a pylon sign that's advertising their business, but they also have a billboard type sign that increases clutter on that particular highway. Also, to provide some additional insight, the existing conditions that staff found within the city is that the tallest billboard that we have is 68 feet. The minimum sized billboard is 32 square feet. The maximum size billboard is 672 square feet. And we do have existing billboards with changeable copies. We also found that we found one property that has 2 billboards on its frontage, and the distance between these 2 large billboards is 343 feet. The minimum distance between smaller billboards, like the ones I mentioned of 32 square feet, are 158 linear feet. And again, to make emphasis, it's something like this that we would like to avoid. And this is an example, or this is the exact example that I'm using to explain the 2 billboards on the same property. They're 343 feet apart. So existing market regulations split the type of billboards into 4 different sections, or 4 different categories. The personal billboard, which is the 32 square feet, a maximum elevation of 12 feet, a junior poster, which is 55 square feet, and a maximum elevation of 25 feet, a poster with an area of 210 square feet and an elevation of 40 feet, and finally a bulletin, which is the billboard that we know, which is 672 square feet and an elevation of 70 feet. So the proposed provisions are to remove the 3-for-1 rule, basically not have the applicant remove 3 to place a new one. The billboards would be permitted along the following zoning districts: ag, traditional neighborhood corridor, commercial corridor, regional center, and both industrial districts, only along highways and major thoroughfares. The minimum area to cover the market would be 32 square feet per side and a maximum area of 700 square feet per side. The maximum elevation would be 75 feet. However, we do have the administrative discretion to do a 20% increase if needed and if the need is there for the property owner. The spacing should be measured linearly along the same thoroughfare. For the small billboards, such as the personal and junior poster, it's 1 mile. Large billboards, such as the poster and the bulletin, is 2 miles. And for the maximum number of signs, 1 per property frontage on highway or major arterial. And finally, the illumination, it would permit the following for floodlights, inner illumination, hologram, and changeable copy. Again, taking into consideration the restrictions that TxDOT may have. Now, moving into monument and multi-tenant monument signs, the current provisions for the monument sign is that it's allowed in all zoning districts, specifically for single tenant. The maximum area is 40 square feet. The maximum elevation is 8. The maximum number of signs is 1 per lot or arterial street access, and the spacing is 30 feet between monument sign or pole sign on abutting properties. Now, on the same property, the distance would be equal to the minimum required spacing between driveways, and there is permitted illumination through a changeable copy. However, it cannot be allowed within 200 feet from a residential district. For multi-tenant monument signs, it's very similar. However, the districts in which it's permitted in, it's a little bit more limited to where commercial business is allowed. So it would be permitted in traditional mixed use, traditional neighborhood corridor, in the downtown edge and downtown general districts, commercial corridor, regional center, and both industrial districts. Currently, no more than 8 tenants can be on the sign. The maximum area is 3 square feet per linear foot of street frontage, or a maximum of 630 square feet for the total sign area. The maximum elevation is 50 feet on major arterial and 85 feet on highway or interstate frontage, and the maximum number of signs would be 1 per 300 feet of street frontage. The spacing is 200 feet for a multi-tenant monument sign on abutting property, or 1/2 the length of the longest straight line diagonal distance between 2 corners of the property. Again, the illumination which permitted would be a changeable copy as long as it's not within 200 feet from a residential district. The proposed provisions, we're basically combining the 2 types, both the single and the multi-tenant monument. They would be permitted within all zoning districts, however, not within residential subdivisions, and we'll get to that particular point. The maximum area would be 100 square feet for the monument sign, and 700 square feet for the multi-tenant monument sign. So an example would be the sign at the mall that has multiple tenants. Maximum number of signs for the monument would be 1 per lot or collector, arterial, or highway access drive. And the multi-tenant monument would be 1 per 300 feet of street frontage. Again, the illumination is a changeable copy, 200 feet from a residential district and TxDOT regulation. The maximum elevation would be 12 feet for monument signs on local streets, 20 feet on collectors and arterials, and 50 feet on highways and interstates. And for multi-tenant monument signs would be 12 feet on all local streets, 50 feet on collectors and arterials, and 85 feet on highway or interstate. Finally, the spacing, a minimum of 30 feet between each monument or pole sign base, same or abutting property, and the multi-tenant monument sign between signs on the same property would be 1/2 the length of the longest straight line diagonal distance between the 2 corners of the property, and a minimum of 200 feet between each sign base. Finally, for pylon signs, the current provisions, it's only limited to our regional center zoning district, which is the one that permits your big box retail. And recently, we have had a lot of inquiries and even variances for these types of signs because they are very commonly used for business. And so the maximum area that is currently allowed is 3 square feet per linear foot, maximum 630 square feet for the total sign area, a maximum elevation of 50 feet on major arterial and 85 feet on highway or interstate. The maximum number is 1 per frontage on highway or major arterial, and spacing is 200 feet from pole or multi-tenant monument sign on abutting property. Again, the distance would be equal to the minimum driveway separation on the same frontage, and it's permitted a changeable copy as long as it's not within 200 feet of a residential district. The provisions being proposed are mainly an expansion on the permitted zoning districts, which would be adding traditional neighborhood, mixed use, traditional neighborhood corridor, commercial corridor, leaving regional center within the permitted zoning types, and also incorporating industrial zoning. Now, an additional provision was added to where this type of sign will only be permitted along the frontage of highways and major arterials. The pole or pylon sign shall only also be permitted along International Boulevard for the traditional neighborhood mixed-use zoning district. The purpose why that particular provision was added is to incorporate a recent petition that we received from TSC and to protect the historic district. The maximum area will remain the same, 3 square feet per linear foot, maximum area of 630 square feet for total sign area, a maximum elevation of 50 feet on major arterials, 85 feet on highways or interstate frontage. Maximum number of signs would be 1 per frontage on highway or major arterial. Spacing would be 200 feet from pole or multi-tenant monument sign on abutting property, and the distance equal to the minimum driveway separation on the same frontage when on the same property. Finally, the changeable copy would be permitted within 200 feet of a residential district. Any questions?
So a couple of questions that I've got. First, on the billboards, when we're talking about 3 would need to be removed for 1 new one to come in. And I think about this from the perspective, especially as we continue to grow as a city and we're annexing new areas. If a new company were wanting to put up a billboard in one of the areas that's newly annexed and there's not one there now, are we saying 3 existing billboards in the city would have to come down in order for that to be allowable?
Well, those are the current provisions. However, we're proposing to remove that particular provision.
Okay.
So that would no longer be required.
And I support that. I think that's a good move. And I share the vision that I think management and staff has here. I agree we don't want to see a cluttered city. I do have a little bit of concern with the limit of 8 tenants on a multi-sign, only because like you showed us at one complex where there's multiple businesses and it's got multiple signs. If we're wanting to eliminate that, that's a good thing. But if you've got a plaza with 10 or 12 tenants, what happens to those other 2 or other 4 who are not on the sign?
Right, that's actually the current provision, a limitation of 8. We're removing that to
Excellent.
provide the flexibility.
And then on the pole pylon signs, and I think we're talking about something that's no more than 12 to 15 feet high. I think the opportunity for these, like we say, not too close to each other, not every lot, but whether it's a mile, 2 miles, whatever distance we think is appropriate, but allowing those where it's appropriate so that more local business has the opportunity for off-premise advertising. Because I know I see it a lot in town already. A lot of them are older signs that have been there for years, but that's something that I hear from my constituents is right now there's only 1 game in town and prices are locked and it's cost prohibitive for the local mom and pop businesses to be able to advertise. So ensuring that we've got competition out there, I think is incumbent upon us. And I think we're headed in the right direction to do that.
We're accommodating for that while at the same time still avoiding clutter.
Perfect.
I have a couple questions. If these proposed provisions were to be adopted, how would you go about enforcing them in the current environment? Or would this be just for new development going forward?
Well, these provisions would be for new development moving forward. Now, if there is the desire to move into enforcement, and I know we're getting a new position, we would be looking into that as well.
And then who enforces the text dot requirements for illumination currently?
It would be TxDOT.
Okay.
They have to submit an application to TxDOT, which in turn gets submitted to us. Basically, we make sure that they're okay with the proposed lumens on that particular thoroughfare.
Because I know in my experience driving on the highway, there are certain signs that seem way too bright and distracting, and I don't think that, in my observation, I don't think that's a safe environment, but again, I'm not sure who, like
Commissioner,
you just
we
clarified. but-
can, I mean, Mayor, we can look at, cities do have lumens, so we can see, because TxDOT is more highways, you know, and which is not the same thing as driving on a 4-lane road. And I know cities can adopt those, so we can actually bring some guidelines to you, other than TxDOT, which is more of a highway, right? And those are really large distances. So given that we're closer and we're allowing it at a closer distance, we can come back to you with the appropriate amount of lumens. I know in the city of Hawthorne, we didn't allow like the flashing, the strobe, because that's, people are already distracted, and so that can be a safety concern. So we can look at that as well and come back with the ordinance.
And then for existing signage, I know we talked about this in December, signs that are no longer used as signage, that are just, empty, structures that, aren't maintained. I know that's an enforcement issue, but is that something that's addressed in this?
Not in this particular amendment, but there is a section within the sign ordinance or the sign portion of the UDC that addresses dilapidated signs.
Who enforces right now? Reason I ask is, I mean, I didn't want to get into it during the campaign, but there was some signs up there of candidates who were not running or were not registered. Why were they not removed? Why were they not asked to remove them? Why do we allow things like that to continue to happen? I mean, signage, I understand it's not a poll, but it's still who's enforcing this.
Right, so the zoning division or our department is limited to private property, to properties itself. A lot of these signs were on the right of way, which we have no jurisdiction over. I wouldn't be able to answer at this time who exactly enforces picking up signs within the right of way, but it's something we can definitely look at.
I hope we can.
Yeah, I
address
think
that
one
in
of
the
the things
future.
with this, code enforcement in terms of zoning, which is signage, is something that we need to increase. I mean, I think and we do have a job description where we're looking at zoning code enforcement, not just code enforcement, which could be, health and safety, but actually signs. Because signage, you have to actually it's technical. You have, especially now we're talking about lumens, so you really have to understand building codes somewhat, and also our zoning code. So that's who we're hiring for, and we hope to hire that position to specifically look at signage. And also we'll look at the abandoned non-conforming signs. So sometimes when you're gonna improve a site and there's an abandoned sign, you have to take that out because it's like it's a non-conforming sign. So we'll look at the non-conforming signage as well.
So just to get this straight, you're saying if it's on a private property, you can ask them to remove it, but if it's on a right of way, you can't?
We can ask for right away if it's illegally located or it's obstructing an intersection and it's not visual. We can look at that.
So we just have to get the person
Yes,
who's going to
sir.
enforce this now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
My question is Lamar the only one that can put up marketing billboards?
Well,
have a
technically
billboard.
anyone can, but they would have to buy out 3 of those billboards that Lamar has to replace with a new one. in
Yeah,
those
so
new
right now what
locations.
goes on is there's 30, you have to buy 3 from Lamar and then you can put one up.
So where this is changing it, where we expand the marketplace and allow other vendors to be able to put them up, but in a good, healthy distance where we're not cluttering our arterials such as Alton Glore, Boca Chica, and a lot of our main thoroughfares. So it's opening the marketplace and allowing it in other major arterials.
Thank you.
So I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I had a call today, and I think it's important that we put it out there as well. We should involve the beautification department to get a little bit of input and see where we can meet halfway. I don't want it to be something that squashes this at all. I want this to go through. I want it to be done. We need the competition. The prices are outrageous. So I'm glad that you're finally getting to this. But let's consider other people's point of view on the beautification part of it too.
Will do.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I would favor passing this. And if we want to discuss it with beautification, that's fine, but beautification has a different expertise, so if you will. And I don't think they're, and I sit on that committee, so I'm talking about myself as well, not particularly qualified to decide on the distance between signs or the height of signs. But I do think, they should be included, but not to delay the passage of what you presented tonight.
I agree.
Martin, one point of clarification, because I know when you were speaking to Mayor Cowan, you mentioned that this is for new signs would be for new development. And what I want to make sure of is if these new rules go into effect, we make changes, and there are existing areas of the city that are already developed, that it would be permissible because there's nothing within so many feet in one way or the other, then we would allow signs, like a pylon sign, to go in that for off-premise advertising, or we would not?
We would if it complies with the zoning,
Okay,
with the thoroughfare, we would.
just wanted to make sure. I think I was misunderstanding. That's why I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
And point of clarification, we do have a job opening right now for zoning manager. So anybody out there that'd like to apply and help us, conform, make signs conform in an educated way. I mean, I think our thing is not enforce, right? I mean, enforcement is important, but also education, because some people may not realize that they're non-conforming.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, Martin.
thank you.
Next item, we have presentations. The first presentation is City Manager Update, Employee Recognition.
Yes, I have an employee that the city manager's office and the city would like to recognize. It's Odie Leal. Would you please come up? Certificate of Recognition. In honor of your remarkable service and commitment to our community, the City of Brownsville congratulates Odie Ann Leal for your recent selection as a recipient of the 2022 U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE Director's Award. This prestigious honor of the Director's Service to the Homeland Award is a testament to your dedicated and exceptional service to our city and our country. Your dedication, integrity, and unwavering commitment to the mission of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement are a source of great pride for our city. You have truly embodied the spirit of public service, displayed exceptional dedication in carrying out the duties and responsibilities that are vital to the protection of our nation. Given the 16th day of May 2023, Mayor John Cowan and City Manager Helen Ramirez. Just really quick, I'll say she is brave, steadfast, community-oriented, and a leader are some of the adjectives that describe Ms. Odie Leal. Our community, our region, and our nation thanks her for not only successfully leading our approach to immigrant influx, but being instrumental in our COVID response and inclement weather response and keeping our communities safe and resilient. Thank you, Odie. We're proud of you.
Get in this picture. While you do get there, I'd like to say, I mean, I saw what you were doing. Congratulations. I think we have an amazing team around you. You did an amazing job. I saw how you were taking care of things there. Thank you and congratulations.
So first of all, congratulations to the new mayor and the new commissioners. Thank you for having me here today. And I must say that my parents raised me to do a job that I loved. Never work at a place that you're not going to love what you do. The day that you work at a place where you're not comfortable and you're not enjoying it, you're not going to give it your all. Me working 24 hours a day, 36-hour days is a breeze for me because I love my job. I do it for my community. I want to make sure that all my residents are safe. And I understand that the immigrants that cross have traveled. I want to ensure that they're getting to their place of destination and not lingering here in our city. They want to continue traveling. So we do all I can to ensure that they're going to their final destinations. Thank you.
Thank you, Odie.
Thank you, Odie.
Thank you, Odie.
Next item, we have discussion and update on immigration influx.
Odie has to come back up.
So just a quick update. Our immigrant influx City of Brownsville response update of May the 16th. So our progression. So as you all know, our numbers were very high. We have done everything we can to proactively ensure that every coordination that we do is coordinated through Border Patrol, ICE, and also the sponsors or families of these migrants to ensure that they're getting to the final destination safely and appropriately at a correct time. I know about a week or so ago, you all probably noticed that we had a lot of lingering migrants. We continued to ensure that we work with them in a 24-hour period to ensure we cleared our streets. If you go out there and you look at it now, it's a big difference from what it was to what it is now. Next slide, please. So we have a temporary transfer areas. We added a tent on the outside of Adams Street. We had West Iglesia Batista come on over with their disaster relief truck to feed the migrants dinner for 5 consecutive days, because that's when we had the massive migrants outside on our streets. We've been using the B Metro parking garage retail space for a couple of years now. This operation didn't start overnight. We've been doing this since 2018, effective January 24th of 2021. We've done this operation 7 days a week, 365 days, I mean, nonstop. We were running an operation that was before starting at 5 in the morning and ending by 10 o'clock at night. This past week, we already went into a 24-hour operation to ensure that everyone is being attended to and no one is out on our streets. Next slide. We've been coordinating also with local bus lines to ensure that they add extra buses to ensure that the migrants can go ahead and depart our city. We also have a working relationship with Good Neighbor, which will be providing showers for them to be able to go shower during their operating hours. They'll be extending their hours hopefully this coming weekend or next to include Saturdays and Sundays. So they have a place where they can go shower, and not only shower, but they will also be able to eat there. We do have the Welcoming Center, which is right across the street from our parking garage, which facilitates them also food and non-essentials that they may need, care kits for them to be able to have during their trip. Next slide.
And I would like to say that our engineering and public works department, traffic department created those signs that you see. So it's all in-house.
Thank you to the OD and HR department. They've ensured that not only at Camp Monument, but also at our site, we have what we need for our staff. Currently, we have our staff working 24 hours. We ensure that they're also get what's needed. They need to keep hydrated. They're not only inside the building now, because we do ask them to go out to recruit individuals at the port of entry, which is at the Gateway Bridge, and also during the day out in our streets. Evenings, the same thing. We see somebody sleeping out in the street, we approach them to see if they need any assistance, and we have Ozanam available to transport them there and what their travel arrangements have been, what they're pending. We bring them back into the building and continue working with families. Next slide, please. So on this slide, you can tell the ports of entry crossing. So the port of entry crossing, it's Gateway, B&M, Veterans, and Camp Monument. Currently, Gateway is the only port of entry crossing that pedestrians are able to cross through. B&M and Veterans currently do not have traffic. Gateway is having about, give or take, 300 people come through Gateway a day. Camp Monument, as you can see, is low. It's died down ever since May the 11th. They've only had 5 crossings through Camp Monument. Next slide, please.
Odie, if we could, before you come off that slide, there's just one comment I'd like to make.
Yes, sir.
Because I know I had heard from constituents wanting to see the daily updates on numbers on what we were seeing. And thank you all for putting this together, but I wanted to share so that the public is aware that this is available on the city website. So they can go in and check daily to look at what the numbers are. And thank you guys for putting that together.
Thank you, sir. So immigration influx is a little bit different. Those are the individuals that are actually dropped off at the influx area on 14th and Adams. These individuals are dropped off by either ICE or Border Patrol. So if we look at May 7th, we were at 2,663 apprehensions only at Fort Brown, which is Camp Monument. We received at our location 934. As you can see on the graph, it continues scaling down all the way to Title 42 ends, which was May the 11th. So currently, there is 0 at Camp Monument, and literally we've been scaling down a little bit at a time. 308 was for May the 12th there at influx, 46 on May the 13th. It spiked a little bit as they were decompressing at May the 14th at 118, and then on May the 15th, 5 is what we've had. So that doesn't mean it's ended. I'm in constant communication with Border Patrol, and they say it's a slowdown now. We do not know what next week is going to bring us, so we'll continue waiting and seeing and ensuring that we're ready to reactivate whatever we have to ensure that all migrants are processed and continue to their final destination. Next slide, please. We'd like to thank all our partners, not only law enforcement that have been attending, assisting at Camp Monument, but also we have our nonprofits. Good Neighbor has been extremely great with us and with the migrants. They are there with us. West Iglesia Bautista has also assisted us with feeding and giving blankets to them. Team Brownsville has done the same. Those 3 organizations have always been there. Ozanam is assisting us with sheltering when needed. So all 4 nonprofits have been great. The partnership that we have come to before wasn't like this, to be honest with you. We've really come together and made this a teamwork. It takes a village to make things happen, and this is a village that's really happening. Next slide. I'll entertain any questions.
Yeah, I just want to thank you and your team and all our partners for working together so seamlessly. And, you know, I think the general public probably wasn't aware of our operation prior to the last couple of weeks, right? And that's a testament to you guys just having a really efficient, well-run operation that really moves people through and to their final destination as quickly as possible. I do have a couple of questions. Do you know what the status is in Matamoros right now? Is there a buildup over there, or what any information that you're able to provide?
If you want to assist with that question. Chief is my contact for Matamoros.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commission, and congratulations. So our intel continues to give us the same numbers, if you would. None of the migrants that have not crossed over, whether through the renewed process across the port of entry or by way of Camp Monument, which, as you all saw the numbers, we're not getting them through there anymore. but the migrants are still at camps across. We don't know. It's anyone's guess at this point what it is that they're thinking, what it is that they're doing, or what their next move would be. It would be awesome if what we've seen since the sunset of Title 42, which was last Thursday, is our new norm. Unfortunately, it's too soon to tell whether or not that would be the new norm. But no, the migrants are still there. There's an estimated anywhere from 9 to 12,000 in our local area and another 6,000 in the Reynosa area. Those are pretty much average numbers daily. And the only differences to that is whatever it is that we subtract in those 350 that we get here locally, and about the same number in Hidalgo. They are the two busiest ports of entry right now, which is our gateway and the Hidalgo County Bridge.
Thank you, Chief. Chief, before you step away.
Yes, sir.
What about, aside from what's there presently, what else is headed in that direction towards the border from other countries and further south? Is there any intel on that right now?
Some of the intel, some of the sensitive intel that we're receiving is that there are caravans headed our way. Are they going to come directly our way? We don't know. We've always been the shortest route, if you would, from those countries in our direction or in the northern path. Will they head in our direction? We don't know. There's too many variables that are unknown at this point. So any point along the borders nowadays is pretty much, they'll get the same reception if you would. So too many unknowns at this point.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Did you have other questions, sir?
Yes, just a question. Odie, you're there day in and out. Is there any additional recommendations that we can help you with to better process the situation?
So currently, I think it's a very fluid situation. It changes on a daily. Right now, I think we have a hold of it. Of course, numbers are very low, but if the need does arise, we are in constant communication with Ms. Helen. She's very supportive, and so is Chief Salceda and Chief Sheldon. So I think for now, we're good. If we need something, we'll reach out to Ms. Helen, and she'll go ahead and reach out to the commission.
I have one last question. The state buses, are we able to fill them right now?
Currently, we were filling them before. Right now, it has slowed down. We have to ensure there's 40 individuals in each bus before it departs. So we're working with ourselves and with the city of McAllen to ensure between both those, we can fill a bus.
Okay, so you're holding off on the buses and you ask for them once you have a count of 40, whoever,
Correct,
from both cities.
correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, can you say a word as you updated us last week or 2 weeks ago about any crime that has changed in the city?
So we've ran a query, if you would, of our downtown area, what it is that we feel are those areas, those streets, if you would, that are most affected by the change in canvas, if you would. We find a 10% increase in call volume. That doesn't necessarily correlate to any type of offense, if you would. It's more nuisance calls than anything else. And there are a variation of EMS calls that we're also getting in that bunch. So for now, we can definitely, like I said, we can conclusively defend that there is a 10% increase in call volume, not necessarily correlated to any type of offense.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank
Odie.
you all. I just like to highlight really quick. Thank you all for this transparency. We continue to see the city of Brownsville on the national news these past weeks. And, you know, when we get visitors from up north, they have the wrong perception of us. So us really putting out there that we are a safe community is very, very important. So thank you all for that.
Commissioner Martinez, that's a great point. We are actually working right now on the proposal to do a crisis management campaign. So it's specifically, showing and telling our voice. It's very strategic, and it's specifically because of the situation. And, there's already a perception of your border community, and even more so now. So us being strategic in our campaign and telling our story that, we're in a safe situation, we're family friendly, and we're having wonderful events. Tomorrow, a grand opening of an airline, so we keep going, and we're resilient, and we're not that perception that people may think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Odie. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next item, we have consent agenda items. I would like to, before you make a motion, consent agenda item number 8 has been requested to be removed by the department.
I'll move to approve 1 through 7.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next item, we have public hearings. Public hearing number 1, public hearing in action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2023-007-S to request a specific use permit to allow an event center for an approximate 1,000 square feet, Suite B, out of Lot 9, Block 1, Jose R. Almaraz subdivision, located at 3193 West Alton Glore Boulevard.
So as mentioned, this is a specific use permit only for 1,000 square feet out of an existing business plaza for Suite B specifically. The current zoning is commercial corridor and the proposed use is an event hall. The property is fronting West Alton Glore Boulevard. Just to provide some insight to our new commissioners, there are a list of uses in the Unified Development Code that do require a specific use permit due to the nature of the use, in this case, an event hall, since it produces or emits loud noises or sounds due to music, due to the event. We do have to run it as a specific use permit just to ensure that those, let's say, that nuisance is mitigated. So if the commission does decide to approve the specific use permit, staff does recommend these provisions, as we have done before for other types or for other requests similar to this one. So the sound mitigation measure, they would have to install some sort of sound mitigation device or measure on the walls to limit the decibel level at 60 decibels when measured outside of the venue. Additional commercial waste receptacles should be added to accommodate the proposed use. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 13 mailouts and 0 written opposition. And this is a zoning map. What's within the area is primarily residential. There's residential single family, residential estate, and residential transition. There is commercial corridor for the existing plaza and for a property that is 3 doors down to the west. This is the aerial view. And as you can see, the yellow polygon is the suite which they will be renting out. And so P&Z did recommend the approval to grant the specific use permit with the conditions that were presented. Any questions?
Hi, Martina, I have a question.
Yes.
How do you go about regulating the decibel levels on the space?
So we would require them for a measurement with the decibel meter, but the materials that they propose, they have to provide the specifications. Every material has a specification list saying how much decibels it can absorb. And that's where we have them comply with the requirement.
Martin, on one of the requirements, I believe you guys recommended masonry wall to enclose the dumpsters. Is that
Right.
not something that would already be in effect for a plaza of this type? And if not, why would that change just because there's an event center now versus the other businesses that would be there?
We're adding it because since it's an existing plaza that was built prior to the UDC, we just wanted it to be in the ordinance so that the property owner knows what they have to do. But it was explained to them that it is a requirement by default.
Okay, so if this was a new plaza that was being built tomorrow that did not have an event center, and a masonry enclosure would be
That
standard?
is correct, yes.
Very good. Just want to make sure of that.
Any other questions? All right, this is a public hearing. Anyone here that wish to speak on this item?
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, or all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next item,
I'm sorry, Mayor. On item 8, we removed it from consent, but we still need to table it.
Okay.
If appropriate, now I'll make a motion to table item 8.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Item table.
public hearing number 2, public hearing in action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2023-008-S to request a specific use permit to allow a solar farm for an approximately 34.2 acres of land, more or less, out of Block 139, El Jardín subdivision, shares 19 and 27, Espiritu Santo Grant, located near JCS Industrial Park Drive.
Again, this is a specific use permit for a 34.2 acre property. The proposed use will be an unmanned solar farm. The current zoning is residential single family R1, and it is fronting JCS Industrial Drive. So to provide some additional context, this particular use, the solar farm, under the UDC, it does require a heavy industrial zoning. However, because the surrounding is primarily zoned single family, staff believe that a specific use permit would be more appropriate. What we didn't want to do is to change the base zoning. And in the event, let's say 10 years from now, the solar farm decides to move away, we didn't want that property to be zoned much higher than the surroundings and then allow a more invasive use. So we decided to move it as such. And we did add some or suggest some conditions. In this case, for them to provide sufficient and improved access to accommodate the heavy vehicle traffic. So mainly not so much because it's going to be continuous heavy traffic, but mainly for the construction period. To provide the minimum required residential adjacency buffer along the property lines when shared with residential single-family uses. There is an existing subdivision to the east of this property, as you can see, but a buffer exists of a drain ditch. Now, to the south, we have received inquiries and proposals for a single-family subdivision directly south abutting this property. So just to be proactive, we decided to throw in that additional condition so that whenever that development has gone through the full review, that an adequate buffer exists. And finally, to provide adequate privacy screening, whether it be masonry wall landscaping along the property line shared with the residential single-family uses. And again, this would be something by default whenever a more invasive use abuts a residential subdivision. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 26 mail-outs and 0 written opposition. This is a zoning map. What predominates is residential single-family. There is residential transition, residential estate, and some light industrial currently zoned to the south, which they are planning to rezone to residential to accommodate that subdivision that's being proposed to the south. This is the aerial view. Again, the yellow polygon representing the property. And P&Z did recommend the approval to grant the specific use permit with the conditions established. Any questions?
Was there any concern from the property owner with regard to the provisions that you all are requesting?
No, and they're actually here if you guys have any questions, but it was presented to them as well.
And they're in agreement?
Yes.
And my other question is with regard to the access, how do we measure that and exactly where are we discussing? Or where are we thinking that that access, improved access needs to be provided during construction?
Well, as you can see towards the center or to the right edge of the picture shown here, JCS Drive ends right at the beginning of the property. Based on the proposals that they've shown us, the access to the actual development would be about 100 yards into this, this piece of land. And so from there, they would have to turn north in order to access. Now, they did propose or inquire about having limestone or caliche drives within the property. However, to prevent or proactively prevent future concerns from abutting single-family neighborhoods, we do request that the access, at least a portion of that access, be improved so that they don't drag out the dirt or the mud if heavy traffic goes in and destroys the limestone.
And is this something that would remain a private, or would be and remain a private drive that they would have exclusive use to for their farm? Or is any of this something that's going to fall under the city for?
No, it would have to be private.
Very good.
Do we have anything similar in Brownsville? Like this type of
Solar
development?
farms, we've just gotten inquiries, but no actual applications such as we have, such as now.
Was a request near the airport a while back, but it never moved forward. So I think it's good to have alternative types of energy, but we just need to make sure we protect the neighborhood and that area. And they're photovoltaic, right?
Excuse
What
me?
kind of solar farm is it?
It's just solar panels. They will not have any battery storages. It's merely, the reason why they're not going to have battery storage is because they're directly connecting to a substation that's at the entrance of JCS Drive. So there's no need for the storage.
Questions? All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone that wishes to speak, now's the time.
I'll move to close.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say
Aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Items for individual consideration. Item number 1, consideration and action to approve a memorandum of understanding by and between the City of Brownsville and the Brownsville Independent School District for the purpose of establishing goals and objectives relating to the temporary establishment of services and/or a lease of facilities to aid in the safe processing of migrant families in our community.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Earlier today, we had a presentation on migrant influx. And one of the questions was if there are any additional services or support services we may need to support that initiative if our numbers climb. Understanding that right now, we're not at that point. But one of the proactive ways to mitigate any increased numbers is through a collaboration that we're looking with the Brownsville ISD, where we would enter into an MOU. They do have a school that has been vacant for a number of years. And when we talked about the possible seeking ways to mitigate unexpected surge if needed, in our conversations with BISD, they identified 3 possible schools. We went and toured the schools together and came up with Victoria Heights would be a school that possibly can meet the needs of the cities in case we saw a substantial surge. I know one of the concerns would be if we did not have capacity over capacity, then Border Patrol has identified that it would authorize street releases. Right? Although we're not in that situation right now, what we have to think is be forward thinking and how we best support and protect our community. And so for that reason, we have their legal counsel and our legal counsel have looked at an MOU. This was presented to the BISD board yesterday. While they tabled the item, they knew that we were going to consider this item today, and then they have asked for our response to the MOU, if this is something that we feel is favorable, and also for them to reconsider at a subsequent special meeting from BISD. One of the things some of the questions that were answered yesterday is that any costs associated with the operation of this for the temporary transfer of migrants. This is not a processing center and is not a shelter. So we talk about today about the successful way the city of Brownsville approaches migrant influx is that they want to get to their sponsors or to their families in other cities in the United States. And lots of times we're the point of entry. And so we have one of the largest transit providers in the Rio Grande Valley. And we also have an airport. So with those services, we are allowed to transfer people through our community and to their final destinations. And this would allow us to do that at no cost to BISD. We're not asking them to pay for any of the services that we need. We would actually operate it. And then we have substantial grants that have been awarded to us that we then would seek reimbursement.
So let me say first, because I know that there's a lot of public comment that has been out there on this, and I've received several calls from constituents. So first, I want to apologize to the public that we didn't have more information proactively out there. That's on us as your elected representatives. But with that, we know that the concern of the public is public safety. And in the interest of public safety, making sure we can process immigrants that come across the border and are in the city of Brownsville as quickly as possible and moving them along to their desired final destinations, that should be our priority. And that's the way we keep our city safe. I've heard concerns about other border cities who I shall not name, but where we've seen situations devolve into something that's not well received by the public. And we don't want to see that happen in Brownsville. And I think so far, because of the cooperation we've seen, one, that the city has taken the lead, partnered with surrounding communities and with the NGOs, and not just left them on their own to try and handle this. That's why Brownsville has been a leader in this area. And I was very proud when I toured Camp Monument, and I made sure to go all the way down to the banks to see firsthand what exactly we were dealing with. But I was very pleased that the feedback I got from the deputy chief was that out of all the border areas that they've worked, never have they seen a community mobilized this quickly to come together to address an issue. And that's a testament to why we are not seeing the problems that other border cities see. With regard to concerns that citizens have, the best way to address those concerns is to ensure that our next steps are ready in the event that they're needed. All indications right now are that we won't have to go this route. But in the event that we do, having this plan ready to go is paramount to continuing with the success we've seen so far. And we know this is not about sheltering people for extended periods of time. This is about processing and moving along and just ensuring we've got the facilities to do that. I like that this campus is one that is fenced in, is controlled. Immigrants would not be expected to get there on their own. They would be bused there and bused out, not left to roam those neighborhoods. And the safety of everyone, from those passing through the community to our citizens, is of the utmost importance. And I think this is a step in the direction of assuring that if things should change with regard to the flow of immigrants. So I think we're on the right track, and I'm hopeful that BISD will partner with us. We've done great things in the past. I think we'll continue to do great things in the future, and this is just another one of those.
I have a question, if I may. Just to echo Commissioner De Los Santos, I know the concern here is safety, public safety, and I've heard that from some constituents as well. I know that Chief Salcedo mentioned there was a 10% upkeep of phone calls. I'm just curious if that has if there's been any criminal cause, like on immigrants themselves, because if that's not the case, we'd like to be transparent with the community and say that these are the intentions, right? To help them get off the streets so we can process them
I don't know if you want to come up, but what I would say is what Odie Leal explained is that, we try to fill those buses. So we actually have boots on the ground personnel that if they see someone that's been or asks, how long have you been? What do you need? That's why you see the signs leading them to Good Neighbor, leading them to our Adams Street processing area. And so it's those types of things that we try to find and we ask people, even our employees do, I do. So when we see that, because we're the kind of eyes and ears, the boots on the ground, in addition to working very closely with Ozanam and Catholic Charities to understand, what are the needs of the people there. And so it's that collaboration that's going to keep us, I believe, safe and also help the migrants to their final destination. But Chief, any questions?
What was the question, Commissioner?
I was just curious, you had mentioned there was a 10% increase regarding migrants on phone calls. And I know that that's the primary concern that residents have is the public safety of these immigrants walking around. Has there been any criminal increase complaints or anything like that?
Like I said, our call volume is specific to migrant influx, to migrant numbers, to the migrant change of our canvas, if you would, in the downtown areas. We were very specific in our research, if you would, using our data dumps that we have on a daily, and we continue to analyze that data. And so what we were able to see is just a significant, not a significant, 10% increase in call volume, not necessarily correlated to any of our index crimes, not necessarily correlated to anything significant. Most of them nuisance calls, business owners, community members calling us and with concerns about migrants standing here, there, or whatever, and things of that sort. Like I said, more nuisance calls than anything else, not offenses, but we're going to continue to do our data dumps and continue to do our analysis of our data. And we will continue to be as transparent as we've always been with our numbers and our crime offenses.
Thank you, Chief.
Absolutely.
I'd just like to add, I think last week really showed, it really stretched our ability to handle the volumes, right? So going into Wednesday and Thursday, I think there was a real concern that it would tip the scales and we would no longer be able to accommodate the volume of people coming in, right? And so I commend you guys for thinking about Plan B, we need a bigger facility, we need to go 24/7, we need to ramp up and scale. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate our partners at BISD for considering this MOU. I think that shows great collaboration. And I think one last thing, I think people ask about our FEMA Dome and its role in our community and why it's not a great option for this. So I don't know if you want to
Yeah, I mean, I
comment on
think
that.
the dome is our only dome for hurricane and that shelter. It is the only, facility that we have in a city of 200,000 almost population. So there would be a concern that there's no other replacement. And we're coming into hurricane season. In fact, we have a sandbag distribution event June 2nd. So that's how important that dome is. We need to conserve it for that use. God forbid we would need that and then it be occupied and not have that intended use. It also becomes an EOC during that time frame as well. So that's part of the reasons why we would shy away. Hurricane season starting, and that is our kind of saving grace if they were to have some sort of inclement weather.
Thank you, Ellen.
I have a comment. I think that it's well known in so many areas that the best way to avoid chaos and disaster is to be prepared and avoid it rather than wait for it to happen and then try to catch up. And so I think it's important that we have facilities like this available and with this MOU to be able to provide that. So know that we have that there so that we don't have to wait for something bad to happen and then we have no place to go. So I also thank BISD for their willingness to cooperate.
Thank you.
So just to reiterate, this is not something we're going to use for tomorrow. This is not an occupied campus. In fact, this is not housing. In fact, this is a preventative measure for future reference, correct?
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you.
And to add to that, also, we saw an opportunity to be able to give back to our community as some of the temporary services that we are soliciting, bus drivers and things of that sort. Oftentimes, they work a 9-month calendar year per se, and we would otherwise be able to employ them during the summer and otherwise allow them to have extra income.
I think it's great that we're looking for Plan B. Congratulations. We need to be ready. We know we can handle almost close to 3,000 people, but what happens if we would have 35, 4,000, whatever the number may be? I've heard what's going to happen to our subdivision if they're roaming around. Well, what's going to happen to the city if we don't have anywhere to at least let them charge their phones, go to the restroom? So it's very important for us to have this. Thank you all. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
If there's no other further comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, we have consideration and action on resolution number 2023-062, authorizing the sale of certain real property pursuant to project label, authorizing signatories and dealing with related matters.
Good evening. First of all, thank you for being here. I'm happy to be here. First time presenting. Congratulations to our new mayor and commissioners. My name is Elisa Rodriguez. I'm the director of Industrial Park Development and Special Projects. We have here lot 3 for the North Brownsville Industrial Park, which is project label. This is an industrial printing manufacturing, which currently has a 12,000 square foot building in the city, which will be building a 30,000 square feet building on lot 3. The project will be adding 10 additional jobs to the 10 current existing jobs on the facility. Their investment is approximately $3 million for the construction of the building. Any questions?
Any questions on this item? All right, not all.
To approve?
I'll entertain a motion to approve. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Item number 3, consideration and action on resolution number 2023-064, authorizing the Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation to sell Lot 6 of the North Brownsville Industrial Park.
For this one, this will be an owned, owner-operated warehouse and a spec building. This will consist of a 2-phase. First phase will be 84,000 square feet building for the warehousing. The second phase will be 42,000 square feet building for the spec, totaling of 124,000 square feet building. Their investment is approximately $10 million. For the warehousing, they will approximately create 10 to 15 jobs. And for the spec building, we're still waiting to see what's going to be the business getting there. Yeah.
Any questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
And then start with this lot, would the park be completely sold or
No.
almost?
No, we still have 2 more properties that we still are under contract. So hopefully after those 2, we will have a complete sold out industrial park.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4, consideration and action on an agreement with Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation, accepting airport debt payment assistance.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, Mayor and Commission. Currently, right now, the city has an agreement with GBIC by which GBIC assists the city with payment on bond payments that we took out for the terminal. what this amendment will do is it will continue for an additional 4 years so that they can continue making the payment. Part of that assistance, though, they are asking that the city help with possible TERS for one of their future projects that they're excited about, and more details will be coming forth with. It doesn't bind the city to create that TERS, it's just more so to look to see if it's feasible, if it's necessary, and the additional support for the total of 12 million, they're asking that the city come back in year 4 to request the additional 3 years if it's needed for the airport bond package.
And just TERS is a tax increment reinvestment zone, and normally it's used as an economic development tool whereby if normally they have to expend a lot of money on infrastructure, roads, detention, sidewalks, so forth. And so it's where whenever you start building development and investing, the tax increment is there, and you can identify or give back a portion of that to the developer with all the upfront money that they put in. So it's something that we would consider, vet, see what the infrastructure costs are. It is a tool that normally cities use for the development of master plan industrial parks, which is what this would be. It's about 729 acres, so it's our largest park available. And also them continuing to add or pay our airport debt allows also the city to have more capacity for roads and other debt that we may need. If not, we would have to pay it, and then that would cut into any road infrastructure projects that we have. So it is good for us because they are going to absorb some of that debt overall. And we thank them for that consideration.
And then you mentioned that on year 4, they would come back and ask for our help in regards to a project.
No, I'm sorry.
Can you repeat?
So the original ask was for 7 additional years for GBIC to assist with the bond payments. What the board agreed to was 4 years. And then in the 4th year, if the city still needs assistance with the bond payments, to come back to the board at that time and request the additional 3 years. The total overall was for the total assistance not to exceed 12 million. And it would expire in 2048. But the payments stopped with this past fiscal year, and moving forward, we'd have to come, like today, we're going back for the additional 4 years assistance.
And just for the new commissioners to be aware, we've seen progress and growth at the airport to where now, with the exception of the debt service, they are now in the black. So we're absolutely headed in the right direction to where they can be self-sufficient one day.
All right, any further questions, comments?
To approve?
All right, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next item, we have consideration and action to acknowledge the financial statements and cash investment report for the city of Brownsville for the second quarter ended March 31st, 2023.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and City Manager. Pleasure to be back out in front of you again. We were here 3 months ago and presented results. Now we're at a mid-year point, 50% of the year, and we'll give you an update on that. Yesterday in the leadership meeting that we had in Helen's direction, we talked about the budget process that 3 of the council members participated in. And we described budgeting as being like putting together a jigsaw puzzle, that the pieces all need to fit together. And at the end of the exercise, look like the front of the box, right? So tonight we're going to present how that front of the box is done through 6 months. So looking at the citywide fund, we have general fund, debt service, we have 12 different funds together. And in consolidation, mid-year through 6 months, we have 122.9 million versus last year at this time, 109.5 million. So we've got a net increase of 13.4 million and 12.2%. Usually as one fund does, the whole family does. So we're off to a very good start midway. And some of the increase is due to the timing of revenue transfers. However, if you look at the general fund, which is our largest fund, and where property tax and sales taxes, we're up a nice 5.9 million versus last year, as sales tax is up 5% year over year. It's extremely strong through the first 6 months. Street and drainage is up 1.2 versus last year. The bridge fund is up 923,000, and landfill is up 700,000. And on top of that, the employee fund is up nearly 500,000. Moving down in the chart, you can see expenses are at 111, and the net of 122 minus the 111 leaves a overall balance, if you will, of 11.7. So that's one of the things that you look for, is that your revenue is exceeding your expenses at this point in time. So we're right where we should be. One of the items that looks a little bit out of whack is the debt service fund. It shows that through 6 months, we're at 90% of the annual budget. And that's just a timing issue. We've got 2 payments due. The first payment has principal and interest, and the last payment's only interest. So it's all timing. It's not anything to be concerned about. So really like where we are overall with all of our funds. Specifically, the general fund is where the meat of the action is for the city. We have all the public safety funded out of here, and the 2 biggest components of the general fund are property tax and sales tax. And if you look at property tax, the way we budget for property tax is we take the total assessed value that we're eligible for the city, and we budget at 95% of every dollar that we could get. So right now we're at 92% of the 95. And Loopy, who's been here for years, I asked him, I said, hey, where were we last year at this time? And he said, 92% the right way, because I got a little bit concerned. Where I came from, you pretty much get everything you're going to get by the end of March. But here we have a very tenacious group of citizens that even though there's late fees and penalties, they pay until everything's settled. So good to see they were on track with last year. Sales tax only has 5 months. We're cash basis, so we post what we received through 6 months, and it was 5 months worth of payments. And again, we're up 5% year over year. However, the big thing when we came out with mid-year budget improvements, we were up 2.5 million versus budget. Now we're up 4 million versus budget. So the trend is continuing, and we hope it carries through the rest of the year. If you look at the rest of the categories, they're all strong, with the one exception is fines and forfeitures. We're at 41%, and a lot of that comes from the city government and municipal court. And I called the judge today and I said, Judge, you know, you're 180,000 below last year. What's it a result of? And he goes, Mike, this is not a financial issue. It's a criminal issue, and it's really dependent upon the mix of the cases I get. You know, sometimes we have people that go to jail. Sometimes there's community service. Sometimes there's money involved on fines and citations. And it all works itself out by the end of the year. So wanted to pass that on. But if you look at the rest of the court categories, we're strong. Even license and permits where you get a lot of the activity due to economic development with high interest rates, we're doing fine. And then the one category that's a little bit higher is the intergovernmental. We're at 80% of the year. And what comes through there, you heard a lot tonight on the immigration influx. The payments that we get for immigration influx come through as revenue through that category. And then if you go down to the bottom where we have public works, and it looks like it's overspent, we have 2 million in revenue and 2 million in expense, so they offset each other, but there's really nothing to worry about. Looking at the rest of the general fund and the expenses, we're under control. You do see the category of public safety that we talked about with the immigrant influx there, and every other category is right at 50% or below, with the exceptions of operating transfers. And we had an accounting area that was corrected in Q3. but the number for the year, the 12.9 million that's budgeted, we're still on track to process that. So all told, we're in good shape. Looking, our next fund results here with the landfill is just really, really strong. As you know, we have the Harlingen revenue included in our figures this year. We're at 8.1 million. There's some seasonality to landfill. We get a little bit more in the summer. And so we're at 49% tracking to the annual budget, but we're a sizable amount over last year. So that's strong. Good interest revenue year to date, so at 50%. And then you look down below and you see the transfer to the general fund at 4.7 million. That helps the general fund meet all of its operating needs. So it's pretty crucial. If we take the transfer out and look at the 8.3 million versus the 7.8, we still have a nice surplus even with transferring that out. We take it out together and it's a $5.1 million surplus year to date without the transfer. So the landfill is doing strong. When we were out here a month ago for the mid-year budget amendments, we had 1.6 million in equipment. And that equipment with demand supply hasn't arrived yet. So when it does come out, we'll see more efficiencies at the landfill. We see customer service improve. We'll see revenue. And this P&L will be even stronger than what you see now. So I'm looking forward to the months ahead. Airport operations, we sort of talked about this earlier. This is a big week with Avelo Airlines coming in. If you look at our airport revenue per se, it's up nicely over last year, 1.468 million versus 1.432 miscellaneous. And I would like to point out that grant revenue is used to supplement our operating loss. So right now we show 324 last year and 180 this year. We have access to 1.4 million from the year for CARES revenue. So any shortfall that we have in operating activity, we can cover in the short term with that CARES revenue. And the way the accounting works for grant revenue, you don't recognize the revenue until you have the expense. So that's why we're showing a little bit of a deficit there. Going down to the operating expense items, we've had some turnover of personnel. And with the payout of, severance pay and things like that, we're a little bit above airport maintenance where we should be on the budget. And then likewise on the maintenance piece, we have new janitorial services that caused a change versus budget. Airport security is a little bit ahead. And then on fire operations, we had some retirement. And then on the police, we have a little bit of overtime. I do think that the second half of the year with Avelo, we're expecting, our airport director said that we're expecting like a 36% increase in volume. So I really want to see what that does to the P&L and how much of that 36% in volume drops to the bottom line and makes us look better. But good things ahead for the airport. So this is bridge activity, and I looked at the 1.7 million versus the 861 from last year, and I said, whoops, we got an error here. We may have booked something twice, but it's not the case. We have actually 5 months worth of activity in this year's mid-year results. Last year we had 4. We had collection activities last year. When I first got here, Helen said, make sure you get with the county, establish a relationship and get them on cadence to pay us. And that's happening now. So that's good. But the other increase that we're seeing is due to the traffic activity over the bridge. We saw in Q2 a 200 increase in volume, and it was cars and motorcycles. So if you look down below and you see the overtime, well, somehow that activity had come over the bridge, but they need people to process them. So the overtime is a direct result of the activity. And we have not had a P&L this strong in a while here. And typically in the past, you see the line item where we transfer the 1.5 million to the general fund. We've been depleting the fund balance in years past, but this year it's accretive because of all the increased revenue. So this fund looks very, very strong. Looking here at the results for golf, I want to point out one thing that's crucial and makes the performance look pretty good so far this year. You see the line item where it says transfer for the general fund, the 476 on the revenue in the budget. We had projected going into this year that we would lose for the total year 476,000. And we have not transferred nearly that amount. If you look at the net from revenue to expense, we've lost a little bit over 100,000, not nearly what we forecasted. And part of the reason is if you look on the fee line item, we are doing much better than we were last year. A little bit over a 20% increase. And that's before the increase in fees kicked in that were approved April 1st. Now, when you get over to the expense side of things, the golf course, I went out with 2 other directors that are in operations to assist the management. And the golf course needs work. You know, we've got the Texas Games coming up, and we've got a proposal to get some painting done, to get some fix-up work done, because there's work that's been delayed for years. On top of that, we only have 10 operating golf carts. And so when we were out here at the mid-year budget amendment, we requested more golf carts. But with the demand-supply relationship now, it takes a while for those to come in. And I'm just happy that the other directors have agreed to help the golf course. They don't have a lot of people, but they're willing to look at other things. They also have a problem with their motor to run the pump station there. If you go to the golf course, the first 9 holes are brown and the second 9 holes are green. It's because the pump's not working. So with outside visitors coming to the city, when we want to do everything we can before they get here. But hats off to the group there. They're doing much better than what was budgeted. Looking here, our next category, second quarter, this is our employee health fund. And if you look at revenue minus expenses for last year, the 7.1 million versus the 4.9, we had a $2.2 million surplus. Right now, 7.6 million minus 5.6 is 2 million. So we're pretty close to where we were last year. And what this is timing of, you know, the healthcare costs when they come in. People turn in their claims a little bit late versus when we take the premiums out of the check. So it's all a timing issue. But the important thing of this page is that we have revenue higher than the expenses, and we're in a good position. I enjoy immensely the investment side of the equation. And if you look at where we're invested here, we have demand notes, which are really our operating a checking account that we have. We have CDs, we have municipal pooled funds that we invest in, and a money market account. And if you look at the quarter, the 2.397 million divided by our principal, we got a return of a little bit over 4.6% for the quarter. We've never had that return in the past. And as we sit today, money markets are paying 4.8, and the government bond pooled fund is 5.04. So the Fed last week raised interest rates. We're expecting, you know, to retain this type of investment income going forward. And we'll take it while we can, because who knows what the future will bring. So it's been a very strong year for investments. This next chart just shows, you know, we talked about how we're going to start our budgeting period. Right now, if you look at the mix when we get property taxes in, 62% goes to M&O, which is our operating activities, and 38% goes to debt. So earlier tonight, when we had the approval for the debt capacity to be funded by GBIC, that helps us out immensely, and that the city's debt burden isn't there like it could be if we wouldn't receive that help. So hats off to GBIC for helping out, and we think this 38% will go down when we finish the budget this year. Sales tax, we talked how it's up 5% year over year. This shows a 5-year trend. But we actually went back and looked at 10 years. And the phenomenal thing about sales tax for the city over the last 10 years, it's gone up 62.8% in a 10-year period. And we talk about sales tax being variable. It's not always there. We can't count on it. But in that 10-year period, there was only 1 year where it went down. So you're seeing a lot of economic growth here in the city. And a tremendous amount of it's come in the last 3 to 4 years. So the sales tax looks very robust for the city, even with the higher interest rates. And we hope it continues through the rest of the year. We think the Texas Games will help out, and we've seen some strong activity due to what's going on with SpaceX. So this is probably one of the best charts that we have. You know, we talked about interest income and how that helps us with higher interest rates. Well, the downside to this is permitting, when you have higher interest rates, you don't see as much buying going on. And then our permitting department talks about how the mix changes a little bit. When you get higher interest rates, you see a little bit more remodeling than what you might do in terms of new activity. But one of the major retailers that's in the home building industry announced its results today, and that was actually down. So just to see this level of activity is actually pretty good. If you take fiscal year 22 out of the equation and look at the other 4 years combined, we're ahead of the other 3 years. So I like to look at it in terms of last year was an anomaly. The other 3 years we're tracking on course with them, even with the higher interest rates. So we do think we have some organic growth still going on in the city. And it's actually a pretty good trend, even though the numbers are down versus last year, which is an unfair comparison when interest rates were very, very low. And the last thing was this employee benefit thing to show you where all the money goes. You know, that's split quite a few ways. We have a stop loss, we have administrative fees, we have prescription drugs and actual medical claims. And Elizabeth, who's sitting here, did a really good job for next year for the plan that we're about to put into our budget. So not only are we looking forward to finishing this year, we're looking forward to see what next year comes out. So all in all, I know it's sort of a quick update. I'm the last one up tonight. Want to get everybody home, but most of these funds are in good shape across the board. I don't see any warning signs, or we'd tell you that they're warning signs and we need help. But general fund is strong. The two mainstays of the general fund are property tax and sales tax, and they're right where we should be. And all the other funds are chipping in where they can. So thank you for your time and attention tonight. Were there any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right,
Mayor.
take care.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to acknowledge the financial statements and cash investment report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next item is adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
It is now 8:16. Meeting has ended.